Hey there, I am so glad you're here. Come on in and enjoy Coffee Chat at the Cubby Hole. Okay, you might be thinking, coffee sounds fun, but girl, what is the Cubby Hole? The Cubby Hole was a divine little nudge on my heart, if you will, to build the space in our basement, in our home, where our friends and family could come and receive encouragement and love. And that's exactly what we've been doing. I've always known that the Cubby Hole would have a ripple effect out into the world, that it could bring encouragement and hope, not just to people that could visit here in person. That is exactly why I do Coffee Chats. I get to take some of the coolest people that are just like you and just like me, who have skill and talent, but most importantly, they have a vulnerable, relatable story that we can all glean some hope and encouragement from. So grab a coffee, cozy up, and enjoy Coffee Chats at the Cubby Hole. Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Friday, and welcome to Coffee Chats at the Cubby Hole. I am so glad you're here. Okay, here we are, the month of September. This entire month here at the Cubby Hole, we are honoring the fact that September is Sobriety Awareness Month. So each guest that I've had on is telling their story through sobriety. Now, interesting. You know, sobriety is different to everybody. Sobriety, it means, stopping an addiction, stopping the reliance of a substance. But everybody's story is different. Sometimes people need to do that when they're on the defense, and sometimes it's on the offense when they want to just simply make a change in their life. Sometimes people are using a substance and it is controlling their life. So there's all different sorts of reasons that people might choose sobriety. And that's what we're focusing in on today, once again, with my incredible guest. I've been so excited to bring these two on. Okay, they are not only incredible human beings, they're entrepreneurs. They are recently engaged. And what I love about them is the way that they love each other so well. And not only do they love each other so well, they have loved each other through their individual journeys. Talk about a wonderful relationship. Yes, it's easy to love each other when you're in the shiny spotlight of life, when you're in front of other people. But when it comes down to the root of the relationship, that intimate part of the relationship where you're not feeling so pretty, things aren't going so well, it's a little bit messy. That is the definition of true love and a powerful relationship. So without further ado, I would love to introduce all of you to our daughter, Morgan Rutz, and her fiance, Jared Raymond. Hey,
hi.
Oh my
Good morning.
I am so excited to have you guys here. Oh my gosh, I've been looking forward to this for so long.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, finally.
Yeah. We talked about this months ago. And you guys, I think especially you, Morgan, are really stepping out of your comfort zone, right? To do it.
I'm not a live speaker, so there's your forewarning for anyone. But gonna do my best.
Me either. I'm not either. So.
Well, you're gonna see how you are, and I am so thankful for you stepping into your courage to do this. Because when I first asked, I think you were like, and then you were like, you know what? Yeah, this is how we grow. This is how we expand. So, so overjoyed to have you guys here. As I was
here, we're happy to be here. So.
As I was introducing, you might have heard that I was saying that sobriety is different for everybody. And we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about your journey. But before we do any of that, let's get to the even more important thing is that we are on a coffee chat. And could I have a person on the show that loves coffee more than Morgan? Both of you, but that girl
Yep. Every day.
I was thinking, let me just show this picture. I saw these pictures and I'm like, if this doesn't describe Morgan.
Gosh, yes.
My whole Instagram.
Oh my goodness, that's perfect.
All the different seasons of coffee for Morgan.
Oh man.
And I was thinking, what coffee cup am I going to use today? And you know which one I chose, Morgan.
Is it the coffee chest?
Oh my.
I don't think I've seen that mug in my life.
Oh my goodness.
It's you've taken it right out of your memory. I think we got this in Myrtle Beach, but I was looking for a picture and I'm like, cheers. So cheers, you guys. Cheers to Coffee Chat.
I started young, apparently.
But I am actually, in addition to that beautiful cup, I am using this cup, which Morgan, you were kind of the leader with all the kids rallying together for a present for me, and you guys all chipped in and got me Coffee Chat at the Cubby Hole mug. So I use those all the time on the show. So thank you for that.
So
oh gosh, you guys, it's like where do we begin? So I was thinking we would start, because you guys are a beautiful couple. We can't wait to celebrate you even more in February when you get married.
Thank you.
I'm so excited for that. But I thought we would start, you guys are starting your lives together and you have been on your own individual journeys, however. So let's start with the two of you, kind of your separate stories, and then we'll move into you two together in your future. So Morgan, let's start with you. Now, I've known you most of your life. If you all know the Rutz family, you know we're a blended family. We're kind of like the Brady Bunch. David and I met on Match.com. We blended our families, and the rest is history. So Morgan, I met you when you were, I think it was like your 5th birthday or something. Made you a Barbie cake, and I've known you the majority of your life. So tell us, if you wouldn't mind starting here. So jumping to the topic of sobriety, we're going to talk about why you chose to not have alcohol in your life. But talk about what was going on in your life just leading up to that choice to not have alcohol in your life.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I would say that, I knew that it wasn't working for me since the time I first drank, which I did not start early. I was not the one going to a bunch of parties, drinking in high school or anything like that. But I will say that the years leading up to when I decided to cut it out entirely, it was a lot of drinking every now and then. And when I did, I felt horrible. I felt horrible, not just hangover horrible that everyone feels. I felt like anxious on a mind, body, spirit kind of level. And it was overwhelming. And I never knew that the reason for that was alcohol until the years leading up. And I would often do a lot of, I'll give up drinking for 6 weeks. I'll give up drinking for 8 weeks. And it would be, and that was closer to when I decided to completely cut it out, but I kept on trying to take breaks. And it would be one of those things where you're like, oh yeah, I'll go get a drink with you because, it's not a problem. That's fine. I can just take another break in a few months, whatever. So I would say that, the time leading up was an anxious mess. It was a lot of me trying to figure out where that anxiety was coming from and trying to blame it on everything else, because drinking should, it should be fine as a 20 something year old, right? Like I should just be able to go out and have drinks with my friends without being in turmoil the next day or the next week or several weeks. And that just wasn't the case for me.
And one thing that is really important to both of you, I know, is that you said you don't want to come off as holier than thou, like, oh, we don't drink and that's the answer, because like you were saying, a lot of people they can have drinks and they're fine, but for you it wasn't serving you. So do you want to talk to that first, and then I wanted to share something else that you talked about?
I think that is important to mention, because I think when we first decided not to drink, I don't think we wanted to make it very loud. And go out and friends would kind of ask about it. And I wouldn't say, no, I don't drink anymore, period. I would just be like, no, I'm not drinking, because I think it can come off as, you're talking to someone, especially if they have a drink in their hand, they're like, oh, like, what are you saying? I should be like ashamed that I have a drink right now. That's not it. It's just, if If it's so obvious that it's not working for you, that's another story. But if you're able to go out and have a few drinks, that's a completely normal thing to do, and it should be
Right.
fine with it if it's not like ruining your life. So
Yeah.
yeah.
The phrase that popped in my head as we were talking prior to the show is cognitive dissonance, in that when we know we're doing something, like, and I want to talk about your intuition, Morgan, because that was powerful when you talked about your intuition, but that's it exactly. Your intuition, your soul, your mind, your heart, sometimes it tells us what we need to do. But when we do the opposite of that, that's where that term comes in. And it feels so conflicting. And then that can become the root of a sense of anxiety. So talk about that. You said, what was your quote? You tried to drink normal, ignoring my intuition.
Yes, absolutely. So, and I kind of gone over this in my head a lot of times because I feel strongly that I've built my intuition over the years, or at least built the ability to recognize it. I think we always have it, but I think it takes some time to really be able to recognize what I'm feeling is that it's telling me to do this or not do this, and follow that strongly, and that's God as well, of course. But I think it's, when I would drink, I would wake up the next day and be so horribly anxious. And the next time I was going to reach for a drink casually, I knew in my gut that this was not going to, even if it was going to be like the most fun night ever, I knew that like chemically in my body, this was not going to work for me. And I would just shrug it off like, no, like I can train myself to drink casually. I can train myself to do this, which is so silly thinking back. Like, why do I want to train myself to drink this thing that so clearly just doesn't work for me? And, I was going over just the memories, and Jared handed me a self-help book the summer of 2015 when I had first met him. And I'm reading up on what intuition looks like and feels like. And I'm like, oh, like this feeling that I have is probably deeper than just a weird feeling in my stomach. And I think we had both built and focused on our personal growth that entire time. And I recognized it more and more what that feeling was. And then once I listened to it, it was like this newfound full body trust that I had in myself to follow myself. And that, I honestly want to say, like from that point on, it was like all the personal growth that I had built up inside was like released into my life fully, because I just made this decision, and was able to just allow that all to come out instead of like stifling it down by ignoring it. So,
so what I hear in that is that, alcohol, in a way, it served a purpose there, because it created a contrast for you that who would ever think that drinking alcohol and then not drinking alcohol would then lead to this beautiful byproduct of saying, wow, I trust my intuition. That's what it was all about. So absolutely, nothing in our life is wasted ever. And that served you very well, just simply that contrast.
Yeah, I do feel like it is so much like getting rid of the substance out of my life that helped with anxiety for sure. But it is like a metaphorical healing, because I made a decision that I knew I had to make for so long, and I made it. And I think that is even more powerful than necessarily like what the decision was. So
Jared, so both of your journeys are even in sobriety, with the word sobriety. Your journeys are both, they're similar, but yet they're different. Morgan was feeling anxiety and feelings that she didn't like. She was trying to listen to her intuition. And Jared, your story is, like, again, similar, but a little bit different. Tell us about your journey. And as you're doing that, we can still hear you. I'm going to put a picture up of you kind of back then, is the way you referred to it, back when your journey started. And tell us where you were here, and just bring us into your story then.
Okay. Sure. So that was pretty recent. That was pretty much at my lowest, I'd say. But it started, for me, my journey started in high school with substances. My parents had just went through a divorce. I was in high school. I didn't know what the heck was going on. I didn't know really where to turn, and I found alcohol. And alcohol, when I was at my low, it was there for me to pick me up, honestly. Like, that's what I used it for. I would drink by myself, and it would be there for me all the time. And it's the fact that, man, you can go years and years using alcohol and substances because they'll never go away. They'll always be there for you.
Yeah.
But you can, yeah. But
What's in it, what seemingly is like a friend. It's like when you're, especially when you start drinking younger, we're already going through insecurities at that age. Then it becomes a comfort. It's a counterfeit comfort, and it gives you this almost like this clear shield over you. This courage. This it's different. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We were talking about liquid courage or something. I mean, when you're talking about speeches, like speaking in public in college, if I had to give a speech for communications class, I would drink before the speech liquid courage. Yep. That's what I did.
Yep.
But I mean, it comes down to the point where, like, how long was I going to keep feeling sorry for myself? How long was I going to keep making excuses of, why I needed this? You're digging yourself a big hole every time you use that to hide your emotions or to prolong getting over something. You're stacking it up and you just keep using it. It could be a never-ending story, man. So the people that that rely on it and use it and can get out of there is amazing. It may seem like when you're going through it and when you're super dependent on it, it may seem like there's honestly no way out, because I felt that way. I'm like, oh man, I can never see myself getting through this. Like, but then when I did, it was, I can't tell you how actually easy it was. And I was a person, I'd get out of work and I'd go to the liquor store, get a pint of vodka, New Amsterdam vodka. That was it. I'd go to the store. I would chug that before I went home. So I was in it. Every day using substances, every day relying on it, needed it to complete me. And I can tell you that it may seem like it'll be super hard to get out, but man, and especially if you have a partner to do it with you, it makes it that much easier. And I promise you that you can do it, because I thought that I was done. I thought that I was the one, like I was the the screw up, and I was going to be the one that went down that road. I'm so thankful that I got out of that, and a lot of it comes down to diverting my focus on substances to God, and to actually looking forward, because when I was using substances, I was looking back. I was looking back to cover up these past emotions, to get through things. But if you keep your eyes forward and on God, it's sort of like He pulls you out of the the brush pile, and he carries you forward. And
the brush pile, I love that. I love it.
Yeah.
You're talking about like the recent past, the present, and even you're referring to the future. But on this show, it's all about stories. I am passionate just about so many words, but about the word root, the root system of who we are. And so many of us, and I think a lot of people watching will relate to this, that we like, okay, wait, I'm going to take a step back. Morgan, you were talking about intuition. Sometimes with intuition, we don't even know why we're thinking what it is, but I'm a firm believer in knowing that it's our root system. And a lot of us feel just inherently broken, filled with shame or guilt or fear. So when we go to a party or we have to give a talk or something like that, and like Jared, you were saying, you would drink ahead of time, you're covering up, and it's a Band-Aid in that moment, but it stems a little bit deeper, further, maybe in an unworthiness. What do you think that was for you?
Man, maybe it came from the fact when my parents got a divorce. I think I sort of blamed myself. I would kind of always put myself in the position to feel sorry for myself, and it's just like when you get used to feeling sorry for yourself, it becomes a belief that you put yourself in positions to feel sorry for yourself, and it's like I know that I'm better than that, and I mean I'm proud to say that I'm better than that. I don't need to feel sorry for myself. I don't need to pity myself for anything. It's over, it's over. And you can come into the light, and you don't have to feel that way about yourself. You don't have to punish yourself for anything you did in the past. It's in the past. You know, we learned. For all I know, this is the first life I've learned. I'm not an expert at life, and I'm learning just like everybody else. And that's all.
I love that, the way you said that. You know, it sounds like you were like a comforter. Not that your parents weren't comforting to you, but you just found this warrior in you that you needed to comfort yourself. And without, at that age, right? You were all growing and evolving. Sometimes we still feel like we don't have skills, but then you probably felt like, maybe you didn't even consciously think about it, but you know, at an inner core, you might have thought, I don't have tools to deal with, and you might have not, like I said, not even have fully been aware of it, but that became your tool and your comfort, your comforter. And that was the way for you.
Yeah, I think that I've struggled a lot with self-talk, and, you know, it's easy to call yourself, you know, stupid. It's easy to do it for me. And alcohol and substances made that way worse. So, and I still struggle with that, but I know that I can't do it with that. I have to be sober to be able to recover, because I'm not only recovering from sobriety, I'm recovering from my past. I'm recovering from my past. Yeah, absolutely. And
what emotion? Go ahead.
So, I'm done.
What was the emotion you said that you were you might have been feeling? Was it guilt, or what was it? Well, probably all of them, you know, fear.
Yeah. I don't know. I think, I mean, it may come down to fear. I'm not too sure. I mean, I know one of my biggest fears growing up was I'd be a little kid, and I always feared death when I was a little kid. And it was just my mom. I would always be so afraid that my mom was gonna die. And I go into her room at night and be like, Mom, I don't want you to die. And so I think maybe some of it comes back to, you know, early fears, things like that. But
fear can come in so many different ways too. I mean, so many emotions we experience are fear. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're all there. It's just a matter of you know, being able to put our finger on it and then work on the deeper healing. I wanted to talk about social situations. You know, we're all in social situations, and if you don't want, you know, sometimes if you're feeling like, I don't want to drink, but it seems like everything revolves around food. And luckily, Morgan, coffee. Like, a lot of people go out for coffee. So I know that makes you happy, but you know, I'll go out to dinner and then get a drink. So I know that you said early on, you know, you just kind of chill about it. You didn't want to even mention it. You wanted to stay under the radar. But how was that for you? Because young people watching, or anybody watching, that they're trying to listen to their intuition, but then they want to order a drink. They order a drink anyway. How did you work through that in social situations?
And I'll speak to me, because I know that we have different experiences on this. We have some together, some different. But I will say that for me, I still love going out. I love the social aspect. And I honestly did learn that from going to bars with friends and things like that. So I'm grateful for that time in my life. I realized how much of an extrovert that I can be. And so I still love going out in social settings. But I will say, and I believe that we both agree on this part, is that we have to be kind of cemented in a decision to carry it through. So when I was taking breaks from drinking and then I'd go out to dinner, I would order a drink even though I was on a break from drinking, because it wasn't like this full decision that I made. So I was like, I can kind of shy away from that. That's fine. It's not going to be a big deal if I have a drink, if that turns to 3, whatever. So when we decided, or I'll speak to myself, when I decided not to drink anymore, it made it 10 times easier to go out and not get drinks, because I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, no, I've said I'm not drinking again. I'm not drinking again. Not for 8 weeks. I'm just not. And it does help a lot that when I did start speaking about it a little bit to people that would ask, maybe they'd see me with a non-alcoholic drink, they realized, I did get more and more comments about how, wow, yeah, like I feel like that too. Like sometimes I want to take a break, and who knows if they were just being nice because I was there not drinking. But I do think it's more common than we realized for people not to drink all night. And then it also, on top of that, it does help that a lot of places now, at least in Traverse City, have mocktails on the menu, and they've got zero beers on the menu. And so you can feel like you're part of the group socially without just getting us sparkling water.
Placebo.
So yes, exactly. And I do joke sometimes. I'm like, I'm just having so much fun with this 0 beer. Like, I feel like I'm placebo drunk, and I'm being genuine. It's just because for me, I didn't want to go out and have the fun drinking. Like, that was never the root of the fun for me. It was more like what I felt like should be normal for me. The root of the fun was always hanging out with my friends, and everyone's been so understanding of my decision that it hasn't posed much of a problem for me. So
Right.
It was difficult at first, though. It was because I was afraid. I didn't want the holier than thou thing. I didn't want to sound preachy or like this decision is right for everyone. And why are you guys drinking? Like, it was definitely more like it took some time for me to announce that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can say that I'm proud of my personal journey, and that's why I talk about it. I mean, people make their own decisions, but I'm proud of my journey. So I like to talk about it because I'm proud of that. I said I was going to do something and I did it. Yeah. I'm proud of myself for that.
Yeah.
I really am.
Should be.
Yeah.
Sure.
And you should be too.
Yes, you both should be. You're being true to yourself. You're honoring yourself because that's what your soul, your intuition was telling you to do. Your bodies were telling you, and you listen. And I think that's again where so many people might just be feeling this anxiety because something's saying this isn't serving me, but then still do it, and it's just not serving them well. Actually, quite the opposite. Also, what I'm hearing you guys say is with regard to the term of codependency. Now, we'll talk about how you might have had codependency in your life, but what I'm hearing is an escape from that, because one of the indicators for sure, flashing light of codependency is people pleasing. If everybody else isn't happy, then I can't be happy. So you guys are not only fighting through your, being true to yourself, honoring yourself, you are fighting through a major stumbling block of people pleasing. That could send you many steps backward.
100%. Yeah, because it is sad to realize that is one of the huge reasons why I think a lot of people don't make the decision. I don't want to assume that, but in my mind, it was a lot of people are going to think I'm odd for not drinking. Like, I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable with this. Like, why is that the thought immediately when you're trying to make a decision for yourself? I don't know. And then you realize that you kind of underestimated your friends. Like, at least for me, like, everyone was so supportive, and I'm like, why did I worry about that in the first place? But yeah, that's definitely it was a big thought in my mind when making the decision, for sure.
Morgan, it's interesting because when I see you now as a grown, beautiful adult, there's just these times where I always flash back, not always, but sometimes flash back. And I was trying to find my favorite picture, but I had made a Christmas ornament out of it. But I flash back to Morgan with your bobbed haircut and your missing front teeth. And when I think about that version of you, like always compliant, always compliant. Like we'd say Morgan, and then you'd say, okay, your hair is shaking back and forth. But so that would be a kind of a setup in a way for being, a people pleaser. But then you found the way to honor people pleasing, but pleasing yourself and honoring yourself in that. And I can't even tell you how wonderful that is to see that you weren't just compliant to the ways of the world around you, that even your temptations, that being your world.
Yeah. It's huge to realize that. I mean, the word normal was always going through my head. Like, this is normal for everyone. This is normal for everyone. And, you can make your own normal. As cliche as that sounds, like, you really don't. I mean, if someone feels uncomfortable with the decision that you're making for yourself, that's something that they can work through on their own. But I mean,
cliche is just cliche. It's not cliche, but a lot of people think that what they're saying is cliche. But sometimes things that are quote unquote cliche are just really good statements that are used often, and that's why they appear cliche.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a great point. And then for you, Jared, again, so admirable when you were fishing through all the emotions and the things you were trying to grow through and comforting yourself to say, wow, you could have easily, gotten caught up in social situations and people pleasing and not wanting to seem righteous and just escaping so that you could feel more comfortable and that mock more powerful version of you when it's masked by alcohol, you combated that.
Yeah, it comes back to codependency, which comes back to, honestly, fear of being alone. And so many people, I can speak for myself, but I know that others feel the same. Like, even when you're out in a social setting, sometimes you can feel very alone, even when you're around a lot of other people. And having alcohol makes you not feel alone when you're around those people. And but over time, it replaces those relationships, because it's always going to do exactly what you want it to do. You drink it, it's going to get you as messed up as you want it to. It's going to do exactly what you want, but it ends up replacing those relationships and those people. But I think it comes down to not being afraid of being alone. When you are alone, you just know that God is always loving you no matter what, and you're really never alone, because God is always there shining his light on you and loving you for exactly who you are. And when you acknowledge that relationship with God and that love with God, other people will acknowledge that in you too, and then other people will start having relationships to mirror your relationship with God.
Yes, exactly. And let's move toward that, because that's also one of the rooted foundations of this show is, where did your faith show up in your journey? And I want to talk to you guys, especially starting off with the fact that, okay, so not drinking can come off as not cool. Sometimes younger people, especially those that don't know Jesus, can feel like, that thing, or you're relying on God, give me a break. Again, avoiding the temptation to succumb to people pleasing. How did you, first of all, I want to hear your stories of finding your faith, but then also, how did you maintain that without worrying about what other people think?
Yeah. I can start.
Go ahead.
I don't remember any profound time that I found my faith. I remember my parents taking me to church regularly. I remember falling asleep in church. I remember going to kids' school. It wasn't something that I was hated going, and it wasn't something that I was so excited to go. It was a very neutral thing for me. And I think because, you and Dad, and then my mom and Dan never shoved it down my throat, I think I was more open to exploring it. And I remember, like I said, I don't remember a set day or time in my life where it just was that's God, I know him. It was, I honestly, when I look back, I feel like it was always there. It feels very much like a connection more than anything I was seeking and then found. I feel like I'm so lucky to feel this way, I think, because I don't hear this too often in people's stories, but I just remember having it all the time. And when I was confused, I'd pray, or I'd talk to God constantly every day in my head. I feel like when I look back, it's almost like, I was a big journaler. I'd journal every day, and it was always just letters to God. So I think it was more, I built this connection from a young age that I just always remember being there. So that's mine. It was nothing.
And as one of your parents, as you just said, and maybe some parents will relate with this, some won't, but I know for me personally, in my journey, I really, really struggled with forcing our kids, because I didn't want to do that, because that's just kind of generationally what happens, right? But I didn't get anything. I just didn't get it. I didn't get it. So it was a tough struggle. But you guys were all in the house, in the kitchen. When I found Jesus out in the garage in a broken pool of tears moment, and I knew that journey starts when we're ready to see it. I mean, he's always there. So I always prayed over our kids that they would have their own journey, but it's not something that you can tell somebody to do, because nobody was going to tell me to do it. So I always pray for our kids, and it's just gives me chills, and I'm not going to cry when I think about how I could see you kind of just in your own life, in your own time, discover this journey, and just embrace that, and in a way that it's like a comforter. That there is no parent that can give you that comfort or that knowledge or that trust that Jesus can. And it's beyond beautiful to see that you have found that for yourself.
That's what's hard to even put into words, is that comfort and that love that you feel that is just, it's intangible. Like it doesn't compare to any other amazing love that you have that's worldly. To me, it just doesn't. Like there's something that you can lean on when you feel like you can't talk to anyone in the world. There's something that you can lean on and just speak out and feel like you're heard and loved. I'm just grateful to feel it, because I know that many are trying to be on their way there. It's like, it's just unlike anything else, honestly.
And that's what people pleasing comes from with me, is you think that you can get from people what you can get from God, and it's not true. Like you can try your hardest to get all this love and affection and approval from other people, but there's no way you're ever going to get that same thing that God, because it is always constant, 24/7. It's, I love our love, and it's the closest thing, but this is
but it
not.
doesn't compare.
No.
Yeah, it's not the same at all.
But it isn't your love feels so much more powerful, I'm sure, to you, because it's anchored in that faith that nothing can, it can't waver. When the strong winds come along in your relationship, you know that you're anchored solid, and that's that has to be comforting.
Yeah, and we'll forever be on a learning curve with that. I mean, even yesterday we're like, we need to get back to centering him at the center, because even if we're bickering for reasons that we don't even know about, and we have to take a step back and we're like, wait, who are we putting at the center of our relationship right now? Because it's not God. And so we'll realize we'll really need to take a step back and recenter, and that's forever. I think
we're tested.
For sure.
Oh my God.
And you notice the differences. We'll notice the difference in our relationship immediately when it's not happening.
When we realize that we're not putting God first, and we're literally just at each other's throats, and we're like, we got to stop this, because our focus is not on God right now. It is on each other. And when it's not on God and it's only on each other, you're going to find things you don't like about the person. It's got to be on God. And that has to be the foundation in our relationship. It just has to. It has to. Because in the beginning, it can be, honeymoon phase, lovely, wonderful, but you're living with the person every day, and it can be amazing and wonderful, but then there's also times where it's not amazing and wonderful, and you have to stand on that rock, like you were saying, Marla.
God will keep pulling you. He'll keep pulling you back. He's not like it's.
He's always,
you'll see when it's not at the center.
He's like, all right, boom, stop,
back in.
Let's go.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And then you just go to the next level, and people think, okay, so let's take sobriety, for example. People that stop drinking, and then they're leaning on Jesus, and then something happens, and they take a turn and they go backward, and then they think, oh, see. So sometimes when we think something of ourselves, I was just talking about this yesterday. When we have a belief, that's why it's so important, obviously, to have Jesus at the root, right? But to mend those deep roots, because then if we deeply believe something about ourselves, and then something happens, like we go back to what we were doing, or you get in a fight in a relationship, you can so easily start collecting evidence like an investigator to go, see, that's the truth. The truth is I'm a loser. The truth is I can't do this. The truth is I am no good in relationships. The truth is all these things. And that can send you on such a spiral. That's why, on the surface of the water, it's great to be sober and to work on the relationship, but it's when you go under in the deep that anchoring happens, for sure. That's what you guys are talking about.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And I do, to that point with shore and depth of the ocean, how different it is. I do think that it's important to note that, like, it's definitely not always easy to be the sober one in the group, or the person that isn't drinking, but it does. We've built a foundation now. I mean, what are we, almost 2 years in, I want to say, to sobriety, and we know it's the right decision for us, but it's not like, for anyone that's listening that's having a hard time, I don't want to make it seem like, poof, we're sober together and we love God and it's just simple.
Nope.
That's not the case. It's definitely something that we need to remember is the right decision for us sometimes. I mean, most of the time we really know that all the time, but yeah.
And at the time where I was sort of feeling sorry for myself was when I felt the most alone. And God, I can only tell you this now, But God has always been saying, I'm here for you. I love you. And at the time when I thought that no one was there for me, I didn't believe God. And I said, no, you're not there for me. I'm going to destroy myself with violence and run away from you. Cause I don't believe you. You're not there for me. And constantly, even down that road, he was right there with me. And I can finally see it now that he's just connected to my heart eternally. And it's just the more that I realize that he's actually there. It's just an amazing feeling. And I'm only feeling that now, honestly, for the first time, that's kind of what I was doing, is that I didn't believe that he was there for me. Maybe I didn't feel worthy or whatever, but it doesn't matter who you are. He's there. If you're we're all alive and he's there with us.
Mm-hmm. So. Yes. What would you say? So let's say somebody sees this and they say, they contact you and they say, okay, come on, either of you, they contact you separately and they say, how do you believe that? You've got your head in the clouds. How can you believe that? How can you trust that? Or they'll say, all right, I'm hearing you. I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm willing to listen. Where do I even begin? I have no clue. I've never had anybody in my life that's ever even talked about this. Hearing you is the first time I heard about it. What would you say?
I can speak for myself when I say I denied it for years and years. Denying it for me does not work. I tried literally the hardest until death. Like I denied it. I did not want to believe it at all. I was 100% denier until I was a believer, and now I'm 100% believer because I can't deny it. It's just impossible for me to deny it now that I see it. It's there. It's there.
So would you say that was a discovery because you felt it then? Like you, I think
I ran from it.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah.
I ran from it, and you can't run from God.
Everybody's stories are different, and I mean, even in my story, I actually not only ran, I resented it. I didn't want to hear it. I just wouldn't call people back.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's very common too, honestly.
Yep.
I think that it's just something, and I think it's from how I was raised too. It's not something that I could ever preach to someone heavily, because like I can share my experience and I can share my thoughts on it, and I can share how much like I have this trust in life because I feel like there's a plan for me. And that's why when things go wrong when things are there's turmoil and there's just waves and things are rocky, I'm not like life is wrecked. Like my life, I have confidence that I'm making the decisions that I'm making to go the right way, even if they seem like they're a mistake or a mess up or it really went haywire. Like I have this trust because of this. And I think if someone were, I don't want to say judgmental, but really skeptical or resentful of that belief, there's nothing I can do but a friend or just keep explaining what I experience, and they'll find it on their own. I don't think that there's really anything else to do, but that's my take on it.
Yeah.
For those who have trouble trusting in general or trusting God, I would say do it in baby steps. Do it little. You don't have to throw yourself all in. You can feel the little nudge of God, and you can trust him a little bit. Make sure he catches you. Keep trusting him little by little, and you'll see that he's always there to catch you. And
and I would also say, like, there's no harm in praying. I mean, you can call it whatever you want. You can call it manifesting. I use that sometimes too, interchangeably. And I just think, the skepticism and all that, there's just no harm in putting a wish out into the world. Like I remember when I would first talk about manifesting, people were like, what? But like, I just believe, I really do believe that you can like send these prayers out and it's powerful. Like I just believe in the power of prayer. And I just think there's no harm in it. You're not giving up but 2 minutes of your time to just put your weight on, feel like you're trying to put your weight on something else. It's just,
there's
no harm at all to you for doing it. So,
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because people say, well, I prayed and nothing happened. And, there's a power in not interrupting somebody's walking through their testimony. you know, a living, breathing, walking testimony. There's so much that we learn while we're walking through it. And there's just so much to say about that. And the word that I'm hearing both of you say a lot is feeling. And that's one of those things, again, that you can't explain. And there is the Bible. I am continually trying and, you know, interested now in learning the Bible, learning scripture. But now the words jump off the page to me. But everybody doesn't have to just know the Bible inside and out in order to know Jesus. I mean, exactly. It's a feeling. That's what it is. It's a feeling. It's a feeling, and it's a Holy Spirit feeling. It's a nudging. It's a prompting. It's a directing. And you know, when you know it and you feel it, right? It's so powerful. Yeah. You can't even put it into words. I've tried, but you can't describe it with words.
Right.
It doesn't hurt anymore when you know God's there. You don't feel pain anymore when God's there.
A relief.
It's a relief.
For sure.
Absolutely. And with the Bible, I love reading Jesus's words. They make me feel a certain type of way. I don't know the majority of the Bible.
Right.
Maybe we'll someday study it, but when I read Jesus's words in the Bible, I feel a certain type of way, and it's a great feeling, and I can't deny that.
And you were talking about
convince anyone to read the Bible. I just know what it does for me.
Yeah.
No, you were talking about doing it on your own and comforting. And it is just so wonderful to know that. And most of all, my favorite word along with Jesus is grace. You know, we get to be forgiven for things. It continually, like you said, we're not like on this finish line journey of we're going to get it right every day, but just continual grace. And, you know, I love the concept that if we're beating ourselves up, I heard somebody say this one time, then they said to the person, well, then why do you think you're better than Jesus? And like, what do you mean? He's like, he already he died for our sins. So why do you think you're better that you can, you know, judge yourself, be mad at yourself? Because, you know, yeah. I love, you know, do you want to add? We're not done yet, but what did you have a thought?
I love that you said continual grace. That's powerful. That's powerful. Makes me feel a certain type of way.
See, it's always
yeah.
That's why I love talking to people about it. I feel like I don't do that often enough because there's always a different take or different words or different experience that you just feel it all over.
Mantras,
yeah,
you know,
mantras for sure.
They do. Words are powerful.
They are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I love everything that you guys are saying. And like I said before, what I just love so much is that you guys are a powerful, beautiful, faith-filled couple, but you are your own individual journeys. And Jared, I mean, you both are doing, you know, your own different careers. You're both entrepreneurs. You know, Morgan, you're in photography and in business, and Jared, you are an electrician. You've always had that entrepreneurial spirit. From the second we met you, we knew that. And I love, by the way, I love all the metaphors in you being an electrician because of, you know, terms like wiring. Like that's what we're talking about today. When you go and do, electrician work, it's like, I can only imagine all the metaphors that you see, that the wiring is so important to not, you know, the short circuiting, the on and off switches, all of it that just is so metaphorical. I just love that. So I have this picture, this room, this just is so, it's a little collage, but it's the two of you. And I love it because it's like, look at you to God. Now I'm going to cry. No, I told you I'm not going to get through the wedding very easily. I'm going to keep this picture up here so that but the wedding, I don't even know what I'm going to do. Don't even ask me. I'm going to be
the same.
Oof. Oh man, don't look at me. I won't look at you. It's not going to be good. We're not going to get anywhere doing that. But because of this, the example of this collage, look at you two right there centered, you know, in each other, in Jesus, but you also do your own individual journeys of exploration. And how beautiful that Jared, you gave her a book, the first book that she remembers. Handing her something like that. I mean, what a beautiful, there's so many ways we can describe our, you know, the first beginning days of our relationships, right? But that's pretty powerful that you were still walking through it yourself and you handed her something that changed the trajectory for her.
I don't even know
It's
if
the
you
best.
remember that.
It's the best. I do. I remember standing by my truck and I gave it to her.
Mhm.
But I gave it to her because I mean I couldn't teach that, so I gave her a book that taught me. But she has taught me so much about the basics of life, just being kind to people and unconditional love, and she has taught me that. And there's a lot of things that she doesn't need a book to teach me.
I needed it then, that's for sure. But yeah, we read that. He handed me that book, and I remember it so well because it was a turning point in our relationship, I think. Well, it was the start of our relationship, but the book was a turning point, I say, because he handed me a book that we read together, and I was watching him read this book with ease, and I just couldn't get my mind in it. I could not, and I'm a reader. Like, I love to read. I could not get my mind in this book. 3 months later, I think you waited for me because I couldn't read it. 3 months later, I could. I was starting to get interested, and it was grasping me. But I would look over at what he was highlighting, and I was like, I didn't highlight that. I highlighted this. And in my mind, I'm like, shoot, like, we're just so different. Like, we're not even highlighting the same things in this book. And I think back on that now, and I'm like, there's so much that just he took from that one book. Just, it sounds silly to say. And I took, and then together, it's like, I just think that's when I learned that you don't need to have everything in line with your partner. There's a lot of benefits to not.
Being the same would be boring.
It'd be madness.
It'd be boring. And so, and you never know, because they say every time you read a book, you learn something new. So maybe like the 10th time, third time I read the book, I'd be highlighting what you highlighted.
Right, exactly. I just remember that being like one of those little moments that I didn't know was significant, and I look back on it a few years ago, and I was like, we both bring different things to the table, and I think we learn so much because of that. There are things that grasp him in a video that we'll watch, and I just won't be interested in it, but then he'll talk about it another day in a way that I'm like, oh, yes, I totally get that. So to tie into that individual and together journeys, like it's very important. We have a lot of independence, and then we have a lot that we come together with for a relationship, and it's awesome.
That's amazing. It's
quite nice.
I love everything about it.
Yeah, it's funny even when you read the same book, it's true. You could pick up something totally different, or I'll highlight something and then I'll just flip through the book and see what I highlighted. I'm like, that was really good. I mean, that really meant something to me then. And I don't even remember that I read it, but it's nice to be able to go back and reference it, and that's a lot like faith too, because you can't force it on somebody, and even when you're lovingly encouraging, like I remember Dad Morgan used to have all the older kids. I think he paid you $100. I don't remember how much it was to read. It was The Slight Edge, wasn't it?
Slight Edge. Yep. I still have it with all my notes in it. And it was bogus at the time. I was just like jotting notes like I would in school. But yeah, he used to pay us for little book reports.
Oh, I want to know if the boys went to you to see your notes. I don't even know. I don't know but that's the thing is he paid you guys, to do that. It was so important for him, for you guys to learn this information, but it wasn't, you can even pay somebody, but when the time is right, when our eyes are ready to see it and our ears are ready to hear it, or my favorite, I'm going to talk in cliche bumper sticker too, only because it's wise. But when the student's ready, the teacher appears, right?
100%. Yes.
Oh my God. Absolutely.
We could talk forever, and I love talking to you guys. I just got to see you live the other day here in person when we were doing that Ready Whip Flip challenge. It went better for some of us.
Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. Yours was the best. Yours was the best.
Darn it! I should have put the videos in here. Oh my gosh. That didn't go so well for me. It was so fun. But I love seeing you guys and just hearing from you. And Morgan, I remember, so many times where we've just sat and just had long conversations and talked about, whether it was the book that you were reading or whatever it is, just hearing from you and just watching you grow and evolve it's just one of the joys of my life, truly. And then meeting you, Jared, and seeing you evolve, both of you, in such a major way.
And it is funny because I honestly feel like I'm sitting having coffee with you right now, because this is how, when we stay the night in Milford, we wake up and we get into these conversations so heavily that all of a sudden it's 9 o'clock and we're like, shoot, we have to go. But I have so much more to say about this topic. Like, go on and on and on.
We love you guys so much.
Yeah, it's so fun.
We love you guys too. And you know what? We not only love you as, young adults, we respect you. We really, really do. We respect all of our kids individually for their journey. And we, it's everything what we've talked about here are just a couple of the reasons that we both respect you both so, so much. It's going to be such a joy in February. It really will. I'm gonna get a hold of myself.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a hold of myself. I'm packing extra eyelashes and glue. I am.
Yeah.
This emotional girl has to be prepared. So that's what's that?
You'll be fine.
I don't know.
We'll make you laugh. We'll make you laugh.
Yes.
You're making me laugh, so I don't know, Marlo, you're on your own.
Yeah. I'll be on my own for sure.
One second.
Go. We've touched on the past and the present and the future going forward. You guys want to talk about that, and there's somebody that I'd love to introduce to, as well, if that's possible. But so Morgan, going forward. Okay, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted, the baby.
Is he gonna be our ring bearer though?
He might be here. Oh gosh, let's see. So let's look at this real quick. That's why exactly this is perfect, Jared. I wanted to talk about your future, but let's just talk about this where we are right now. This is you guys. That's Jared. Okay, now here we go again. No tears. No tears. Jared, you guys, your engagement pictures could not be more precious. You know why? Because they're so authentically you. And I want to talk about it in a second, but so I can take the slide down so I can see you guys. This picture on the right, excuse me, could you guys be on the cover of Puppy Parent Magazine? Is there one? I mean, what? You literally look like even Puppy.
Morgan is a model.
Oh,
she's a model.
You got what? That picture is so frameable. Okay, so here's everybody. I'm so proud of my grand puppies. This is Pluto baby.
Are you a baby? Are you
a
baby?
He just came to visit us the other day, and we love him. You guys, I love looking at you. I'm just looking at you. And I have another quote. Let me show this other really cool picture too of the two of you. This is Jared. This is where you guys are now and moving forward in your future. Jared loves inspiring people with working out and starting by inspiring himself. It's just his journey with fitness is incredible. What an awesome picture. This is the most recent, if you will, after picture on the journey. Nice. Look at you, all into photography. She also not only in business, but also in her own business in photography. And girl, you will go to every length to get the shot. Look at that. I love it. Oh, let's see. So I love that. It's both of you in your passion, in your hobby, in your work and what you do. So with all that being said, let's talk about your future. What are you excited about?
Honestly, I feel like I could go into specifics, but this is, and to go back to the sobriety topic, even since I don't want to say the day I decided, because it was pretty hard to continue with that, but since about 3-4 months after I decided to stop drinking, life just came together. I felt like all the training I had put myself through, with just processing emotions, all these things came to fruition, and I feel like life has just been handing me the best cards since. Yeah. So at this point in my life, we're having the busiest year of our life right now, busiest year. And so I think I'm excited for some slowness, honestly, and just enjoying each other as much as possible, enjoying Pluto, enjoying where we live. I sometimes, I remember when I was trying to move up to Traverse City, and I was like, if I moved up here, I wouldn't take a day for granted. And here we are, just, it's middle of September, and I feel like I haven't been downtown once. And it's just I think what I'm looking forward to the most is just continuing to grow with each other, enjoy the slow moments, enjoy making memories, just doing the very simple things. I think I'm just ready for more of that, honestly.
Simple is
Life
good.
is just good.
Mm-hmm.
It is good. Jared, when I first met you, I know you have had this passion for inspiring other people, even possibly doing public speaking. And I know there's a point where you were thinking and even saying, if I remember correctly, like, what will I say? I mean, how do I, there's just it's so overwhelming. What do I do? And I'm just watching you sit here and possibly, transforming, changing lives just with your story alone, both of you, your story. And it's easier to do when you're just talking from your heart and telling where you've been and wanting to share that hope with people, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Yeah. If God wants me to do it, I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just have a feeling. I've always had a feeling ever since I met Morgan. I feel like big things are going to happen for me, and I'm just being patient right now. I'm doing the work. I'm doing what I know right now. But I feel big breakthroughs. I don't know. I've just a feeling that I've always had big breakthroughs through God. And so I'm excited for the future, whatever it may hold. And sobriety definitely helped with that. So
that's for sure.
Yeah, people, they want to know what like the information, the textbook information, whatever but that's fine. But they want not always the information. They want the revelation. They want to know where you've been, what you've been through. Mm-hmm. And man, you guys have stories in that. Jared, your quote in us talking was, "I thought that substances would complete me."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, now I'm going again. But just after this conversation, I'm just remembering when you said that. But it's not. It's you. I just love that the whole theme of this coffee chat today is that you found that wasn't the truth, and you found something even greater.
And and maybe I'm not meant to be. Maybe my journey's not complete yet. Maybe I'm not supposed to complete it. I was like trying to fill in every gap in my life with alcohol, any drug I could find to maybe a mixture of all these will complete my life. But maybe I'm not meant to have my life complete yet. Maybe God's in the process of completing my life.
I love that. That is just so true. That's so powerful, because we are oftentimes we just fall into this trap of thinking, when I get here, that will be it. When I get here, when I feel this, when I do this. And that's really powerful. We're on a continual journey. Yeah. I have one more question for you at the end, but is there anything that either of you want to add or share?
This has been great.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything
Feels
to
great
add.
to talk about, honestly.
A lot more poured out than I thought would.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's like a confession. I love it.
Yeah,
until you're talking.
It's awesome. So I talked to your brother Addison today, and he said, it is not. He said, I am expecting it to be a hardcore, in-depth, deep conversation, and I will be disappointed if it's not. And with that, he said the question that they need to answer, if this coffee chat is going to be a success, is they need to talk about their real feelings. How do you feel truly about frosted flake French toast? That's
my God. Frosted flake. Hey, cook it up. Let's try it out. I'm open.
Toast.
Let's go.
I can't eat eggs.
It sounds amazing. It sounds amazing.
What's
delicious, but I think we'll need to talk about it a little bit.
I love that. He's probably laughing right now, smiling.
My heart was like, okay, what?
Love it.
I mean, you knew Addison was going to throw you a real curveball, right?
That's hilarious.
I love watching all you girls together, but I love watching all the guys together. And Jared, you are just such an anchored part of our family, and we can't wait till it's official in February. It's going to be a joy. Woohoo!
Yeah, you spoke of all the guys together. Bachelor party next week in Detroit.
Oh God, 313, watch out.
Yes, and there you go. Perfect example. Bachelor party can be done, right? Without having drinks. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, it's definitely. We're gonna have the PlayStation going. We're gonna see everything Detroit's got to offer. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I love. You guys are sitting at the kitchen table, and I just loved it, Jared. You're sitting there like, okay, you were talking about who's bringing their PlayStation, and it's so authentically you. That is just the whole wrap up of all of this is the two of you are so now authentically you. And I love it. I respect you and I adore you.
Thank you.
I say that to him quite often, honestly. Ever since sobriety, I'm always like, wow, I get full authentic Jared every day, and I can't tell you how literally amazing you are. I got so much of you before, but to have like 100% authentic Jared is like just,
man. Yeah, it's like the saying, you can't love someone at their best if they doesn't love you through their lowest, and she was there through the whole thing, and so I know she's the one. She's the one.
Oh, you guys are awesome. Well, I love you so much. Hang on for a second if you can. I'm going to close out, but if you have to go, well, I know where to find you. But hold on one second. But for now, thank you guys so much, and I love you, oodles and oodles, and that is a lot.
Thank you.
Love you too.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh my gosh. See, I love those two so much. And I am hoping and praying that I want to have every one of our kids on the show. I think Addison, the oldest, Addison Rutz, is going to be on, I think in February. So, boy, you guys, isn't that powerful, their story? So where are you in all of that? I mean, are you struggling right now? Are you feeling like, like Jared said, he needed to be his own comforter. And when we are our own comforter, we feel like that's the only way. It's because we're comforting something. So go a little bit deeper. I'm an advocate for digging into your story. What false evidence have you collected about yourself that's telling yourself a story about yourself that is not true? And the beauty in that is when we do talk about and lean on Jesus, is he's the answer. He's the answer in that he tells us the truth. When we're caught in a whirlwind and we don't know what the truth is anymore, and we know we're probably lying to ourselves, he will tell you who you are. And that's really all that matters. We get to take that onus off of ourselves, the chains off of our shoulders, trying to figure out who we are. He will let you know. Just surrender, give it a try, like Morgan said. And what do you have to lose? But it's when you can trust in something bigger than yourself, you can heal so many wounds. And ultimately, wrapping it right back around to sobriety, you don't have to lean on yourself, and you don't have to lean on a counterfeit comfort. There's a beautiful life out there waiting for you if that's what you choose. Okay, sending you all love. When next week I will have my last guest for September. Tom Chenault will be joining me, where we continue and end our beautiful month honoring sobriety awareness. Okay, bye for now, everybody.